The Duluth Folk School. Handcrafting, building community, having fun. Join us as we catch up with one of our instructors.
Welcome to our video today on how to make a cut-off jig for your circular saw to cut off 2x material. My name is Tim Bates and I'm here with the Duluth Folk School. You know, usually when we're looking to cut off a 2x4 or 2x6 or whatever, we measure, mark, maybe we'll take a square and make a mark, and then try to use our saw and cut across on that mark. Or we might use the square as a guide to cut off on that mark. But I've got a slick tool that's going to make your life a whole lot easier. We can use a cut-off jig. And this cut-off jig, once ready, will be used to cut off that piece of 2x4 without any monkeying around with squares or much more than a simple mark on the length that you want out of your board. It's going to be made out of a piece of scrap plywood, about 1/4 inch, and then a couple other pieces of scrap, thin pieces of wood. You could also use thin plywood for that. First part is to glue a guide onto the back. Get some glue on here. Not a lot of forces on here, so we don't have to get a ton of material on there with glue. Gonna put that on there and just clamp it in place. And it's flush with the plywood. So once that's dry, the next piece we're gonna put on would be a guide for the saw. The saw is gonna run along this guide. And so the first part I need to do is measure about how far from this edge I need to put this perpendicular board. And so I'm going to take my tape measure and measure to the edge of the blade. This is 5 inches. We're going to go a little bit more than 5 inches for this. We'll go 5 1/4. We're going to take our square. And if these two edges of this board are parallel, if they were cut on the table saw, or I'm going to take this off momentarily and put this onto here, we can clamp this in place right on the edge of that square. And once again, get a little bit of glue on here, spread it out a little bit. Set it right on there. Clamp on here. You could use C-clamps as well. And there. We're just going to let that dry, and then we'll come back with the next piece of this tool. So here we are, our jig is dried, ready to roll. Remember, this is perpendicular, and so what we're going to do with the first phase of this is with our earmuffs on, we will cut off the extra material, and this will guide along the base plate of the saw. So now, whenever I use this jig, anything that's along the edge of this guide will cut the board right there. So let's say I wanted to take 2 inches off this board. This is a 2x4. All I have to do is mark that, put my guide at that mark, put my earmuffs back on, And so I cut that piece right off. This works awesome for 2x4s, 2x6s, 2x8s. The only challenge is the wider the board this way, the longer your jig needs to be. So this jig will work great through 2x8s. If you're cutting bigger boards, you need to make a bigger jig. That's it. Very easy. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.